Southeast Queensland's flood disaster has claimed another life and caused major damage on the Brisbane River. The so-called rain bomb is putting nearly 1,500 homes at risk. Some went under in the 2011 flood. 100 suburbs are on high alert, with some completely cut off this evening. A major flooding event is now expected for the Brisbane River, with a peak of 3.7 metres tomorrow. Lexi Hamilton-Smith begins our coverage.
Carnage on the Brisbane River, a houseboat out of control.
Oh no.
The terrifying moment it smashes into a ferry terminal, watched on by helpless onlookers.
Oh!
Get up!
Get up!
The 70-year-old owner, flung into the water, struggles to stay afloat as a rescue gets underway. The tales of despair are many. Dislodged vessels destroyed, other boaties trying to seek shelter as moorings are severed.
What are you doing?
Lives in jeopardy on water and on land, with 1,500 homes at risk as a monster high tide hit and relentless rain sent the city into panic. People are stranded in unit blocks as well.
That is Sylvan Road, water's up to about halfway up the traffic light.
This is amazing. My building is almost surrounded by water now.
From Norman Park to Newstead, there was nothing residents could do.
To be honest, I didn't realise it was so severe, but yes, it is. It is very severe.
Car parks turned into raging torrents, so did playgrounds. Hundreds of drivers have been trapped across the city and the death toll keeps rising.
We still have a missing male person that has fallen into the Brisbane River some 2 days ago from Bulimba.
This is a very extreme weather event.
We have a rain bomb above southeast Queensland.
This is still a very dangerous situation.
We think of the 6 lives that have already been lost, and we extend our sympathies to the families of those who have lost loved ones in this terrible flood.
This ferry terminal was built after the deadly 2011 flood to withstand a 1 in 500-year rain event. But Mother Nature had other ideas. It's been broken apart, as have others, after being smashed by floating debris for hours on end. For so many, this is a case of déjà vu. Low-lying areas like Rosalie under once again.
Very, very similar scenes, which is not good.
I've got no idea what's going to happen next. It's quite uncertain.
Wesley Hospital is also cut off, forcing a shutdown of surgery, and staff are stranded.
We're literally still not even out of the impacts of COVID, and we're now into this scenario. So it's been a really challenging few months.
Authorities continue to warn people to stay out of floodwaters and to stay at home. A message that struck a chord in this flooded house. Queensland spirit shining through. Lexi Hamilton-Smith, ABC News.
Well, let's go to reporter Louisa Rebgetz. Louisa, there's been an extraordinary amount of rain and many are concerned about water releases from Wivenhoe Dam. What are the authorities saying?
Yes, Jess, that's right. As the Brisbane River continues to rise, there are fears that the water from those releases will start to be seen downstream. It takes about 24 hours for the water to make its way down the Brisbane River, and those releases will continue for the coming days. The dam is at about 180% capacity. Now, dam releases were very much blamed for the flooding of tens of thousands of homes in the flood, the 2011 flood. The dam operators said today that this is a very different event and that will not occur. SEQ Water really had to defend itself today at a press conference. It was asked why it didn't do releases ahead of this significant rain event, that as a precaution, why they didn't release water knowing that the forecast was going to be so bad. SEQ Water says that they do not do dam releases based on a forecast, they only do it based on water on the ground. This is what they had to say at that press conference.
Say that forecast does not eventuate and we have put large amounts of water into the mid-Brisbane River, what we're actually doing is exacerbating the flooding and causing flooding.
And Louisa, how many schools will be closed tomorrow?
Jess, more than 600 schools across the southeast will be closed tomorrow. So from Gympie, the Sunshine Coast, the Gold Coast, in and around Brisbane, Ipswich, the Scenic Rim, and the Lockyer Valley Council areas, so people should check whether the school will be open. And the Education Minister has indicated that those closures could continue on into Tuesday. Just depends how bad the flooding will be.
All right, an unexpected long weekend for a lot of families. Louisa Rebgetz, thank you. To the north, Gympie has been devastated, with residents enduring the worst flood in more than a century. The Mary River reached almost 23 metres, making it the biggest flood since 1893. Hundreds of homes and businesses have been inundated, and more than 500 people are sheltering in evacuation centres. Maryborough is next in the firing line as the monumental torrent moves along the Mary River. Ashley Theodoro reports.
Disaster declared and surrounded. Gympie has weathered many floods, but not like this.
This is uncharted territory. This is, we haven't had an event like this in 100 years.
More than 600 homes and businesses are affected.
The flood got up to just shy of 23 metres, and that last metre is what broke our business last night.
Power is cut to the water treatment plant. Residents urged to conserve supplies.
We are focusing on resupply, we are focusing on infrastructure, power, water. There are issues with that in that area.
They're not the type of people that need a knife and a fork to cut through the froth on a cappuccino, but the last 2 months have been really difficult to get through.
Maryborough is bracing for more to come. The levy is up for the second time this year.
We need to be prepared for all eventualities.
The SES is ferrying supplies to Grantham, which could be cut off until Friday. One resident reported a capsized tinny to authorities last night. It's unclear if anyone was on board.
So we're calling for assistance from the community if they know of somebody that is missing.
The unbelievable deluge has wrought havoc on the Sunshine Coast. Stranded travellers forced into evacuation centres.
We tried every, hotels, but couldn't find one.
This family had to flee their home as the water rose suddenly.
We think it's gone all the way under. Yeah. So, I think we've lost everything that was there.
They grabbed the few things they could.
Just personal stuff, clothes for the kids, the dog.
Relentless rain carved a hole in the roof of Lisa Nealon's business.
Water was just everywhere and we've had to, sweep out everything and, some of my stock has been damaged.
The Moreton River crept over streets, into businesses and homes.
We've never seen anything like it here. The only thing we've seen it coming as far as the mailbox.
Skipper Matthew Porter battled debris and broken moorings to secure boats.
They wouldn't have been the best wrecking ball to come down Moreton River.
Settling for a kayak for now.
The Sunshine Coast region has had its first peak of blue sky today after days of rain. But although the weather has eased for now, there's still so much water around and many roads remain inundated.
Late today, the region was hit with another deluge. The system yet to release its grip. Ashley Theodoro, ABC News, Sunshine Coast.
Live now to emergency headquarters. Deputy Commissioner Mark Roach, thank you again for talking to us. Another incredibly busy day for you and your teams. What is your key message to residents right now?
Well, we've had significant dangerous weather event this is, and we've got troops on the ground all over southeastern Queensland, still up at Gympie and still around Maryborough. We're also focusing on Brisbane, the Brisbane River, the Albert River and the Logan River. There is a lot of rain that is occurring. We have, probably over the last 24 hours, about 2,600 or more SES tasks, and our swiftwater rescue crews have attended well over 200 incidents in the last 24 hours. We're starting to get a significant influx of O calls. What I'd ask the community is, if you do require the SES, ring 132 500, but if it's a life-threatening emergency, then dial 000. We have a lot of work that's occurring out there, and we will in the coming days. We have our fire and rescue crews, we have our rural fire service crews, and also SES crews out there protecting their community, and we'll be around to support for the coming days, and in some cases weeks.
And if I can ask you about tomorrow morning's high tide in Brisbane, what preparations are in place for that?
So we've got additional crews, our swiftwater rescue crews and also SES crews that are available. They are working through the communities at the moment. In a lot of cases at the moment we are still in response mode, but we are preparing, making sure we've got troops in the right places and make sure that we're aware and we're ready.
Deputy Commissioner Mark Roach, thank you.
Thank you.
West of Brisbane, evacuation orders were issued for low-lying parts of Ipswich. Many homes and businesses have water through them and parts of the city are isolated.
For many Ipswich residents, this is an all too familiar, all too heartbreaking scene. The bursting Brisbane River swallowing roads and homes in its path.
We lost everything in Lebanon flood. And the council and the government don't give a about us.
Frustrated that it's all happening again, Daryl Jackwoods can't get near his home.
We don't know what our house looks like. It could be gone or don't know.
Sandbags are flying out the council depot by the bootload as residents scramble to stop the tide.
And we're on a hill, so the water's come down the hill. The driveway that fast, it's just going underneath and we just can't stop the water.
Nick Buzzian is staying high and dry for now, but his backyard's already under.
I'll probably leave when it gets to the front steps.
Parts of Goodna are isolated, boat the only way in or out. This SES boat behind me has been going back and forth, checking on residents who have decided to stay in their houses. As you can see behind me, the water here is rapidly rising in Goodna.
People still in their houses, some people still refusing to leave, some people wanting to leave. It's just personal belongings, family members, pets, whatever there may be.
The Goodna Services Club was almost completely submerged in 2011. Today's rapid rise was eerily reminiscent.
That's gone 50 mil in 35 minutes.
Staff have been frantically trying to salvage what they can, but know they're at the mercy of Mother Nature.
At the moment we're praying that it's not going to get much higher than another metre. So we're trying to lift up a lot of our valuable equipment higher than that.
But the rain just kept on coming and coming, rubbing salt into the deep wounds of thousands of Queenslanders.
You've got to realise that people are still waiting for an outcome of the class action from 2011. So there are people who lost their homes, still waiting for money, and they're going through this again.
We won't see levels that we saw in 2011, but it will be similar to what we saw in Oswald in 2013.
Further west in the Lockyer Valley,
Day 3 for Grantham.
The town remains cut off.
And that is still flowing hard.
Farmers have lost equipment and fodder, livestock moved to higher ground.
Not quite as high as 2011, but very on par with it. A lot of damage, with big clean-up at the end, I suppose.
After days of deluge, people are still getting caught out.
Yesterday we had two rescues, so there was a family and there was also a person who was actually on the bonnet of their car.
Some have sought shelter in evacuation centres.
It's really scary.
As the system tracks south.
The torrent that is happening under this bridge at the moment, it is so loud.
Heavy rain has the Logan and Albert rivers swelling, with major flooding expected at Beenleigh this evening.
We're expecting the Waterford Bridge to peak on Monday morning. We're expecting that peak to be 9 metres.
Jessica Stewart, ABC News.
Let's check the situation on the Gold Coast now. Heidi Sheehan is there. Heidi, a disaster management meeting was held this afternoon. What are the areas of concern?
Good evening, Jess. Yes, a disaster meeting was held this afternoon on the Gold Coast. But first I'll look at the scenic rim. An emergency alert has just in the past hour been issued for several areas up there, including Canungra, Beaudesert and Tamborine. Residents in low-lying areas have been warned to prepare to leave their homes and to warn their neighbours. Back on the Gold Coast, there's a potential threat to hundreds of homes here, and several emergency evacuation assembly points have been set up here on the Gold Coast for those residents. We have seen flooding across the region today. Dozens of roads have been covered by water and cut, and we have seen that severe system moving south, and it's just now to be, it's really hitting our region, particularly those residents on the scenic rim. All Gold Coast beaches have been closed today. They will remain closed tomorrow. The suburbs of most concern on the Gold Coast are in the northern parts of the city, as well as residents in the the Tallebudgera and Currumbin valleys. There's no strict evacuation order in place. However, 2 emergency assembly points have been set up, as I mentioned. They're at the Ormo Community Centre, as well as the Reedy Creek Recycling and Waste Depot for anyone who feels unsafe in their homes tonight.
It's going to be around 200 mil for 6 hours. The crucial point will be midnight. That's where it peaks. But the lucky thing is that that's when we have our low tide.
So the next couple of hours will really be crucial for people in the scenic rim and Gold Coast areas. It'll no doubt be a sleepless night for many residents here.
For sure. Heidi Sheehan, thank you. Let's bring in Jessica Rendell. And Jess, how much rain has fallen today?
Well, Jess, the heaviest totals have been just to the north and west of the city, with Bracken Ridge recording 420 millimetres today. Launton saw 370 millimetres since 9 a.m, 356 at Everton Hills, while Alderley has had 244. Some places had up to 180 millimetres in just 3 hours, and that's caused extensive flash flooding, closing many major roads across the city. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning for the area stretching from Strathpine in Brisbane's outer north to the CBD. That's being described as very dangerous. There is now a major flood warning as well for the lower Brisbane River, which is expected to peak at 3.7 metres on tomorrow morning's high tide.